Yes. Hello. Hello, Houston. Houston, can you read? Houston. Houston, can you read me? Houston. 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 Can you Yes. Yes. Cut the music. Yes. Yes. Welcome one and all to my dream of a nuclear holocaust, of a rain of the green stuff falling down from the sky. Yes, I hear the vast screams of a strange world we will never see, of poisons dripping down from a cloudy sky, poisoning this poisoned earth. Is there any difference between ADT and uranium? Can you tell me? Yes. Tell me? Can you hear? Can you hear me? Yes. Sea of poisons. Ooh, I am faint. I'll fix that. Test. Yes, the nuclear Armageddon approaches sooner than later, I am sure. I dream of the Plutonium shore, yes. A far flung future in the next 3 days, perhaps 3 years, where the Lord, sadly, does not come back, and we are stuck on this sin filled earth. Will we be purified by radiation? No, no, for radiation does not purify even the barest of the soul. Yeah, that's better. Uh, but, oh wait, my microphone was low. Yeah, right, I'll take it. I'll take it. Thank you all for joining me today. I dearly love you all, and I hope that you are having a wonderful build up to Halloween. I have seen many strange costumes and many strange people. I have seen some horrors that you cannot possibly comprehend at the bar I run security at. Somebody called me Daddy a little too convincingly, and I shaved my beard for the shock and the shame. Yes, to purify this earth would be absolutely, absolutely amazing. But sadly, we live on an impure earth, an impure world, uh, and we await the Lord's return with bated breath. Bated breath indeed. May he come sooner than the missiles. But if they come at the same time. Hey, Chris. I'm streaming. Uh, uh, and if they come, and if he comes sooner than the missiles, all the better. Though I don't think those who are hit by the nuclear weapons will complain. Thank you all for joining, and I hope you enjoyed the manic frenzy of the first part of my stream, which sadly is a solo stream. I was hoping to have Austin Hawkings on to discuss science. Yes, many sciences. Nuclear science, the most wonderful and pure of all the sciences available. But sadly, he is not available. Or at least he is not responding to my messages on Twitter or my psychic emanations, my mind beating upon the spiritual plane to bring him to me, bring Austin Hawkings to me, so that we may discuss the sciences. Yes, the sciences. Anthony is also gone. Uh, Due to no fault of my own, or his own, honestly. But he is sadly forced to work, to labor for an ungrateful host. But that is how it is some days. Uh, is our peace backed by nuclear weapons? I would say no, for it automatically means that violence is always on the table rather than removed from the table. If everyone has nuclear weapons, then everyone is dancing the same Shiva dance. Yes, yes, do you feel it? Do you know? The dance is beginning again. The Kali Yuga, the age of Aquarius that the boomers worshipped, is falling upon their children instead of them. Oh, cruel irony. Oh, vicious, vicious fate. Of all generations, they seemed the most terrified of nuclear weapons. They seemed the most terrified of losing their place in society, of losing their little niche of comfort, personal peace, and happiness, of comfort. Yes. How many baby boomers have their RV and dash around this America? How many? Many, I tell you. Many. We have 3 viewers. Excellent. Come on in. Come on in. I'm only just beginning. Mad schizo ramblings. You've come for this. Yes. Yes, I will provide you the best that there is. There is much to be learned from the writers of the past, and there is much that has been said about nuclear weapons, from nuclear explosive ships to stranger weapons that merely emanate the mist, the radioactive dust clouds, rather than the true and the pure radioactive potential of the bomb. Though, from where I used to live in St. Louis, if a bomb hit the Capitol building of that city, I would at worst experience a little cancer. Uh, Considering my family's endurance and power in all things, I do not think it would kill us, but before the heart disease anyway. But the strange tide would certainly negatively affect many peoples, their spirits as well. I believe that there is some connection between the U.S. and Russia both having the bomb and entering a nuclear détente. That is connected to my theory of the crisis of the 1970s, the spiritual crisis, that is. I do not believe that we are in a particular spiritual crisis other than the norm. And you might find that strange to say. We look over and there's much evil that is everywhere all the time, just overflowing. But I do not believe that that is, shall we say, a new thing. I believe it is the logical conclusion of everything that was begun by the boomers and their enablers, the silent generation. Their obsession with nuclear power, their denial of anything but to live for the day for themselves, their grasshopper mentality, their locust mentality is connected directly to nuclear weapons, to the sinful experiences of the 1970s. Everything from Manson to Jonestown to the many gurus of the Beatles to the strange sexcapades of stranger cults. There is threads that run through it all. I believe that the gurus did not bring knowledge of spirit, but rather knowledge of how a psychopath could control spirits, you see. I believe that they brought in some sort of hypnotism, some sort of strange, wondrous technique that we have no name for here in the West because we are honest men by default. It is notable that while there are many dishonest men in the West, few are as cult-like in the same way that Ekankar or others are cult-like, or the Manson family were cult-like. Even the Cathars, or the ones that castrated themselves, usually had the bare decency to pretend to be Christian, and otherwise were fairly strange in their morals. But it is not the same as what we experienced here. Can you imagine it? Can you imagine it being walked across a street and your neighbors having like a dog, and having no conception from your neighbors about how these things are, about why you are doing it. Most people, I think, do not understand it at all, but in Cathar times, in Savonarola's times, everyone was absorbed by it. Everyone was a part of the cult. Everyone submitted. Yes, I see another vision of a nuclear holocaust. Yes, we are living in delusions after the bomb. Yes, chicken and waffle pizza. Oh, oh, disgusting. It is like looking at a monstrous demon that is roiled out of its dung heap to accost you, to beg for food and shelter, even though you know that it is a scorpion, two snakes at your breast, who will certainly bite you once they are warmed up enough. The spiritual crisis I'm talking about was not really brought about by nuclear weapons, but was brought about by stranger things entirely, by the denial of people to serve, but rather a desire to serve themselves in the victory and the prosperity and the abject fear of the times that they lived in. They experienced a spiritual deadening because the greatest generation was not capable of passing on the learnedness of their priests, but instead kept a careful lookout over them. They protected them, but they did not teach them. Or if they taught them what they knew and understood, because they were somewhat of a people of few words and uh, fewer artistic uh, mentalities. They did not want to be artists in the same way that, say, a silent gen wanted to be an artist. They did not rebel against the culture, they were the culture, and they kept the culture as they wanted it, which I think is about right for people like that. Stoic, hardworking, uh, capable of great deeds, because it was under the greatest generation that we went to the moon, after all. But at the same time, distant from those under them, distant from success, distant from the spiritual nature of the world they were in. And so when the spiritual viruses attacked the body, there were not enough white blood cells to uh, keep it out. Not enough protection for the. Is everyone gone? Not enough protection for the. How do I want to put it? Not enough protection against the contaminants that may affect those around them. There was a submission to Satan, to the strange nuclear. How do I want to put it? Strange nuclear. Strange nuclear obsession of those times. The lines, the belief in science as the destroyer, certainly never ended. They wished to be destroyed in a way. They wished to submit to it continually, not because of any particular suicide. Like if you offered to put a bullet into their head, or for to tell them to put a bullet in their own head, they would deny it. They would, even in their darkest moments, never consider it, because the idea that they could be destroyed from the outside, not of their own fault, is a removal of blame that they fundamentally fear. John Lennon, of course, went on and on about imagining no countries isn't hard to do, no religion too. He also said, Christianity will go. It will vanish and shrink. I needn't argue that. I am right. I will be proved right. We're more popular than Beatles. We're more popular than Jesus now. I don't know which will go first, rock and roll or Christianity. The sad thing is that both have been severely corrupted, though Christianity may always come back. Rock and roll might never come back, which does not bother me one bit. Not one bit. Uh, I am always grateful that Christianity is a thing not of evolution per se, not of an explosion rolling through existence, but rather a virus of its own. I believe that there was something learned by the forces of evil. Oh. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I muted myself by accident. There we go. Yeah, no, I muted myself by accident. I have been ranting for at least 20 minutes. Well, I suppose. Yep, I'm audible up to about 25 minutes ago. Like, I want to be clear, Havoc Bringer, that I've barely stopped for breath. Uh, I have barely, uh, I've barely done anything more than to speak of strange times, of the spiritual crises, of the nuclear arsenals buried deep within Atlantis that I cannot speak of anymore. No, I'm kidding. I didn't actually talk about the Atlantean nuclear arsenal for the simple reason is that they were clearly using it for power and not using it, unlike what most people would say, for nuclear armaments. For indeed, even though the Aryan Chads were absolutely vicious combatants, it's not quite the same. Having chariots is not quite the same as nuclear weapons. Having Bringer speaking to the void on a live stream has got to be one of the most lonesome experiences in this day and age. Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it's a void of my own making, clearly. I was the one who messed up the. Um, I messed up my own live stream, and kept myself from being heard. I am to blame, and not that I worry about that too much. It is hard to sort of how should I say it? Be depressed about it. This was supposed to have people in it, supposed to have people talking to me in it, and it just hasn't happened. So, you know, just gotta roll with it. Just gotta be there. And I'm also trying to how do I want to put it? I'm also trying to experiment with how I want to be heard. Uh, I have a lot to say, but the thing is that it's all kind of like post processed, right? I cannot bring you to these sources that I have seen because that would mean you would have to join me on a microfiche carpet ride to discover whether or not what I had seen was real or the hallucination of a man who took a puff on a joint. Lonesome is for those who demand entertainment of their friends, I guess. I came here to do this, to scream into the void and have the void whisper back, bro, your mic is muted. It's Nietzschean. I think some people would say Nietzschean to scream into the void and have it say your mic is muted. Oh well. I enjoy this game. It's very relaxing in its own way. I heard some people describe it as a reverse bullet hell game, and I can see it, but I don't. I don't much like it because the opponents don't have any intelligence to them. They're just charging in to die essentially, and I feel that there needs to be some sort of dodging mechanic to be proper. This sound, of course, is reminding me of my own home, uh, despite being in a new apartment. Oh, wondrous day, Kalu Calais. I've spent a very long time trying to move, and it's a lot to go on. You move from one to another from after 20 years of living in one space. There's a lot. There's a lot. And yeah, and you realize that you've built up a lot of junk in your trunks, so to say, that you now have to get rid of. There's no point in keeping knickknacks you can't remember anything about. Sometimes you try to remember what it is, and it turns out it's for some friend who you don't remember the name of. Um, the name is gone. He was a friend. You met him for several years, had play dates and stuff like that. Swore friendship oaths, and it just never went anywhere. What can you do? It wouldn't change even if my habits wouldn't have changed even if I stayed friends with those people. Um, these people that you cannot remember. There's more lonesomeness than anything else. Thank you, Havocbringer. Than anything else on a lot of this stuff, just for the simple reason that the modern world is lonely. We live in a very lonely world. I think part of the problem of the spiritual crisis of the 1970s, which even if you didn't hear my rant during the 25 minutes of silence, um, you may certainly understand that in the modern world, people are more likely to be lonely by default than not. And that is probably a strange thing to hear and say. What do you mean that they're lonely? I mean that they're lonely. I mean that very few people know how to love anyone, or know how to talk with anyone, or even be any kind of um, how do I want to put it? How to yeah, I guess no, like how to love each other is a good way to put it. Women tend to hate men in my job, and the men are expected to be this kind of brute, uh, yeah, baby, yeah, sort of thing. Um, and they choose men who are like that. So it's not just, an expectation. It's a whole shebang with it. Um, and what it does is it causes sort of problems in the culture. They do not believe that there's any consequence to their action, and so because they do not believe that there is any consequence to their action, they act in any way they please, and it's fine to a point. you know people have free will, and it's just always going to be on, but they kind of just don't want to actually accept the responsibility that comes with it. And it leads to people becoming quite literally insane, not having responsibility, not having duties, but instead being sort of seduced by personal peace and happiness, which I hope the nuclear bombs destroy. At the bar, I was sitting there talking to a woman who was crazy. She offered me her water, and I said, I am not going to drink that, even though I was quite thirsty. Fortunately, her boyfriend is a well liked and well known regular. He brought me a water, and it was not even tainted. Oh, how wonderful it was for me that day. But she did something very lewd with a man's military ID, and then denied it happened, and then rubbed it somewhere else quite lewd. Uh, and throughout it all, it was an idea that she did not, or could not even, do anything wrong, and instead the idea that he does not find it funny is wrong. Now, she is an absolutely insane example to choose, but it's an idea I see in others as well. How dare you um, make a choice that is against what I want and what I believe I need? Uh, how dare you? How dare you? More respect. Where's more respect? excuse me, more respect. I like being a bouncer. Seeing this sort of thing reminds me that mankind is depraved and needs Christ as much as anyone in history has needed Christ. Most people do not want to consider it that they or their relatives, perhaps that's more accurate, need salvation for the simple reason that that would imply that they have to have difficult conversations with people. You'd be surprised how open people are to receiving the gospel if you do it right, if you don't try to force it. For example, I tend to just casually talk about it. I check to see how people are. For example, somebody who let's say he is wearing a necklace with a Brahmin symbol on it, who, pretends at least to be spiritual, maybe talked more frankly, but you'll find that that type of person's very difficult to bring to Christ. You do have to rely on God more than anything you can say, for the simple reason is that they are already awakened to their spiritual nature. Um, it's not quite the same as the awakening that someone like me um enjoys. But let's see, do I want this one? Or nah. Let's just do this. They don't want to sort of change up what they've got. Instead, they want to kind of keep experiencing what they have, even if it's wrong. There's a lot of people like that out in the world who are willing to accept the spiritualism that they're comfortable with, but not touch the stuff that is true, is real, or anything of half that nature. Um, can you imagine it if everyone who was spiritual lived spiritually? I think we would see people come to Christ, and not because of any natural state of the spirit, but rather because they uh, are willing to seek the highest good from their heart. Which might sound strange. They are unsaved; they're going to hell. But if they were Christian, they could be better than some people who are Christian and do not actually live like a Christian. Who say merely that they are Christian. What am I doing? I'm doing this. Doesn't need anything like that. Combine. Pull up this. Combine. Sometimes it's hard to play this game if you have different ideas about what you can do or what you want to do. What you want, I got it. What you need, I need it too. Um, so you just want to, fill in the gaps where you can. It's fun though. Get all four of them following me. Maybe I'll fill it in with the time stopper. Uh, that's always fun. Uh, distracting myself with the video game. Let's see if somebody's on. Nope. I don't take these things personally when I'm ditched, but I do consider it quite unprofessional, uh, especially if people agree with it the entire way through. Just because it's he could have said, hey, I know that you're spending time on this. XYZ happened, and I would of course be gracious and let them go. Let them go do it. As if I have any power over other people's lives. I think a lot of people believe that they have more power over people's lives than they actually do. And I think that's kind of a problem because it leads to people not understanding what's at their fingertips, not understanding that people are way more free than they let on. And I don't even mean in a cucky libertarian sense or anything like that. I mean it in a quite literal. People are generally more free than they act, and I think a lot of that comes from people's fear of society ostracizing them or affecting them in some way, shape, or form that they can't comprehend as positive. The whole thing about uh, the Kali Yuga, the Age of Aquarius, the destruction of what was for what makes some people happy is about the what's the term I want is as much about the selfishness of it as it is the realism of such a thing. I don't think most people could handle freedom, but I think that most people should be given the option of it and then punished for it when they abuse it. Uh, but maybe that's asking too much for some of this stuff, or maybe too little. Who knows? One may only do so much while waiting for the strange wonder of nuclear weapons of power. Uh, and I realize I've just kind of messed up, but we'll see how it goes. I don't want to do this yet. Are you seizuring when you see this screen? Please answer. Do you see this screen and have a seizure? If not, it's okay. But I would prefer. I would prefer. You have a seizure. Don't you know that having a seizure is a sign of uh, good breathing? No. What ridiculous nonsense. Well, my guy hasn't responded yet. I'm ending the stream early. I'll chat with you guys some other time. Thank you for joining me, Havoc Bringer, and thank you for telling me what was up with my stream. Oh, they're all on Steam, my dude. Steam. Gaben Newell knows best how to entertain the masses. Uh, though it's not that expensive, I don't think. I can't remember. I've had this game for a little bit, and I can't really remember how expensive it was when I bought it. It's fairly famous, though. I think it popularized the genre of whatever this is, Vampire Survivors. Um, but yeah, I'm exhausted from moving still, so I will chat with you all some other day. Though I think I will douse my ramen in a nuclear soup, a soup of uranium and plutonium and cobalt 238. Delicious. A spicy mixture. Very good. And it'll even keep my noodles nice and hot. I do not know why. Not one bit. Have a good night.